Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club, the place investors go to learn tips, tricks, and stories from other investors in the field. Today we have a special guest with us, so buckle up, grab your pen and paper, and enjoy the ride.
All right, we are live. Khan, thank you for joining us today. How you doing?
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm doing great, man. How's it going?
Right on. It's going well, going well. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from here in Bellevue, Washington, and I know you're not too far in Enumclaw.
That's right. 30 miles is all that separates us. You're actually the closest person that's been on the show so far. So that's go Washington.
Yeah. But Washington State, man, everything's opening up soon, right?
Yep. All right. To get us started, why don't you introduce yourself? You already said where you're from. So introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and how you got into real estate in the first place.
Oh, yeah. So I'm born and raised here in Bellevue, Washington. I played high school football. That was my main goal when I was, like 15. Yeah. I just wanted to be like a football player, So I was really focused on that. I would go to weights every day. I was starting, as a defensive back at Bellevue High, which was a, state-winning team. I was doing pretty well there, but then I ended up breaking my collarbone. In the junior year.
Okay.
So that made me kind of rearrange my focus.
Yeah.
Per se, I was kind of bummed out.
That's a tough one. That's got to be hard to heal.
Yeah, hard to heal, and plus junior year, and you're like really focused on sports, and then that just gets taken away. You're like, you can't really do this anymore. It's not healthy for you.
Yep.
So I kind of rearranged my focus, and then I started doing like running start classes at the local. It was like where you do the last 2 years of high school at community college, get credits for university. So I started doing that. 2 years later, I went to UW. Started working on my degree. Studied economics. After that, I started working in sales. I worked for a company called DataSphere. They're owned by Sinclair Broadcast. So Sinclair Broadcast owns a lot, basically the whole conglomerate of news stations, like King 5, all over the United States. So we would partner with them and then sell advertisements to local businesses all over the United States.
Okay.
It was like cold calling, right? Like kind of like Wolf of Wall Street style.
Yeah, I actually think I got a few calls from you guys at some point.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but that was like that was a good experience. I think everybody should do cold calling. Especially in this business, in real estate, you should do cold calling.
Yeah, it's rough for sure.
Yeah, it gets you thick skin, gets you used to rejection, which is necessary. But yeah, I started, I did pretty well there, and then I started selling cars and whatnot. That's all I did. I was a sales guy. So then after that, I got kind of bored. I was like, I'm spending a lot of time here. I should probably do something where I don't have a cap on my commission. So then I got my real estate license. That was like 4.5 years ago. And then when I got it, I just applied the same skill set that I was doing as sales, working for somebody else. I was, cold calling, working my sphere of influence, and slowly, that builds up. And I started doing very well,
As a broker?
Yeah, as a broker. Okay. As a realtor, I was top producer. I made immensely great contacts in the real estate industry. As a broker, being partnered with various lenders, clients, and then you see that some of what your clients are doing. Some of these guys are full-time real estate investors. They just buy properties, rehab, fix, and flip them. They would just do a cash out refinance on the property they bought, and then they just slowly built up their whole portfolio. So after having all the inside info and observing all these guys and seeing, what they're doing, I got into that about three years ago. I even partnered with some investors, and I started buying some small condos.
Okay. So condos is how you really got into investing, at least. You got into real estate as through brokerage, through being a broker, and then you entered investing through condo. Were you flipping them, or what were you doing to them?
Yeah, I was, just buying them, and then I would get them at, pretty like wholesale rate, pretty much wholesale rate from the sellers, and usually these sellers were distressed. I mean, there's always deals out there. You have to find them. Sometimes these sellers, their contract, their foreign workers, their contract is up, and then they have to literally leave the country and sell whatever they own, whether it's a condo, like a 300, 400, it's up to $500,000 condo here in the East Side. They have to sell it as soon as possible, and they'll sell it usually for like $50,000 to $100,000 less than what it's actually worth on the market. And I saw that opportunity, and it's really about having an eye for opportunity, having an eye for what's out there.
Yep. So so as a broker, you worked with a lot of. I mean, there are a lot of overseas employees here, and you work with people who are looking to transition out of their condo. So kind of take us to, what are you doing right now? Like, what is your main bread and butter when it comes to real estate investing?
I was able to recently, in the past 2 years, I was able to buy a nice piece of residential property. It's about 7 units. So it's like a small apartment building.
Okay.
So
yeah, residential. That's not a single family. 7 units. That's commercial grade.
Yeah, it's actually residential, but what's really cool is a lot of residential places, you can do modifications to them to add more space. So they're really residential and zone residential, but you just add more space and then have them rented out,
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's like taking advantage of the space. But yeah, it's 7 units. It was originally like 5, traditional 4 or 5 or 5-bedroom house, but I turned it into more.
Oh, okay. So you house hacked. You turned a single family into you're renting out individual rooms, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's I think it's easier to do sometimes like in this way, because when you do it like that, then it's especially in high cost of living areas, when you're renting out single units and single rooms instead of like a whole house for like $4 or $5,000, you're gonna get way more renters, and then it's gonna be way easier to find a renter. Especially in times like these, where people are losing their jobs and people are on unemployment. So, I got that opportunity, and then I have them rented out. I got it at a good deal. It's a new construction.
Oh, nice. New construction. That's good.
Yeah, and I negotiated with the builder. So that's also another technique that as a real estate investor you can use is they say follow the builder.
Okay.
So whenever these huge conglomerate builders, they snatch up neighborhoods, and you see these big residential projects going on with like 8-10 houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the money is going to be made. That's where they're projecting to see a increase of buyers, which is true.
Yeah.
In this neighborhood, there's like 8 houses. They all got bought up within a couple months.
Yeah, builders do their due diligence when it comes to demographics and where the shifting is taking place. So that's, if you follow the builder in terms of buying in their wake, that is usually a good idea. So you found an individual builder and you went and you asked to, and how did that work out? How did that situation play out?
So I negotiated the price with them. So it was listed for about 1.249. So that was the listing price, 1.249. It's in Newcastle.
Oh, okay. So really nice area.
Yeah. So yeah, you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was listed for that 1.249. I got it down to 1.2, around 1.2.
Okay.
So I was able to save around 50 grand on it.
Okay.
And then right on purchase, it appreciated immensely. So that, apart from that, there's some equity made on the house, but what I want to do, what my goal is, I think what every real estate investor's goal is to buy and hold.
Yep.
Is to buy and hold. Yeah, it's get the cash flow, because it becomes a sort of oil well for you.
Yeah, that's
right?
a good way to put it. So this house in so is that your only buy and hold right now? Is the house hack that you did in Newcastle?
Yeah, that's my only one right now.
Okay. And it's doing pretty well. You're cash flowing. You're above. You're in the black.
Yeah. It's cash flowing. Yeah, it's cash flowing. I'm working on some other flips right now. Because especially right now the market's gonna, I think, tank for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the pandemic. So I'm working on some flips as well, and then there's a lot of people who are being foreclosed on as well now.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is happening. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So I'm going to shift gears just a little bit here. You've kind of talked a little bit about what you're doing, what your goals are. I kind of want to go into the inner workings of how you do what you do. You said you do a lot of cold calling, but kind of go into how do you find your deals, and what criteria do you use to define whether one deal is a buy or a pass?
Usually how I go about finding them is to really pinpoint where there's a need. There's a need. I think real estate market is shifting towards the tradition, from the traditional sense of buying and selling, using agents and whatnot, to buyers doing their own due diligence.
Yeah.
And researching. There's a lot of real estate companies popping up. There's Whisper Real Estate. I don't know if you heard of them. They're in Bellevue.
No.
There's Whisper. There's some other companies, and they just specialize in finding off-market deals.
Okay.
So
okay.
Off-market. So when you find off-market deals, it really, when you try to pinpoint where the off-market deals are, it puts you in a place of advantage because not everybody's going after them.
Yeah. So
usually the deals get snatched up by investors. There's a bunch of people, especially in this state, Washington State, where there's a lot of opportunity for real estate. We have a 12% appreciation rate, highest in the country. We're seeing immense growth in real estate in this country. So a lot of investors are snatching up deals when they see it pop up on the MLS.
Yeah.
So for average guys, guys who are, small business owners, kind of like us, who are working on our own. We're not part of huge investing companies, these people with hundreds and hundreds, billions of dollars who are just buying everything up. So that makes it hard for us. So we have to be a little savvy. We have to be, a little smart. And I think the off-market deals is where that comes in, and doing your research. And then it's not about a high number of calls like in traditional cold calling, but it's about the quality of deals you can find, and then putting a good offer forward.
Okay. So, so to find the deals that you were just talking about, there you said it's not really about volume so much as it is about quality. So how do you go about making sure that you have a high quality, data set to be working from to identify people who are motivated to sell?
Before we continue on with today's guest, I want to tell you guys about a community I'm launching on School to help investors like yourself grow your own portfolio. In this community, you'll get access to all the docs I use, all the systems I've built, everything I've used to grow my own portfolio, as well as instructions and guidance on how to get out there and find great deals, how to finance those deals, and then how to manage them for great returns. Since we're just launching it, the price will be set at a measly $20 per month, and whatever price you join at is the price you'll have for life. We will be increasing the price as the group grows, so if you're at all interested in growing your portfolio along other investors, now is the time to join. I will put the link somewhere in the bio or on our podcast website at therealestateinvestingclub.com, so if you are interested, head on over there. With that said, let's get back to the podcast.
Oh yeah, it's really about asking the right questions. You ask them, why are you trying to sell? Where are you going to move? How soon you want to sell? Usually when they're not as relaxed, they're like, oh, I'm just trying to. What do you have any offers? What do you think? How much is it worth? Usually when those types of things come up or questions, there's an opportunity there. There's an opportunity there. If they're just like, some people just like put it on the market and like, whatever, I just want to see it. They don't need to sell it, or they don't even want to sell. They're just like testing the waters. That's kind of, you can kind of, I think,
kickers. That's what I call them.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, you have those, but you also have serious people. A lot of people in residential real estate. There's always people buying and selling. There's always some opportunity to be found. And if you see a neighborhood where a property was sold, a house or land or anything that was sold, you can contact the adjacent owners and say, hey, these guys sold. It's a good time to sell. Would you accept an offer for this? Something like that.
That's
really
an interesting tactic. I've never heard that used before. So what tools do you use to one, get your data, and two, skip trace the right owner?
Get the data and then get to the right owner.
Yep.
So for data, you can use that. You can use any MLS database, public records, public records, MLS databases. You can see all the info, on the property, when it was purchased, how much they put down on it, who the broker was, and whatnot. But yeah, public records come in handy for that.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to shift gears one more time here. We've gone through your business, what you're doing, how you're doing it. And so now I'm going to ask a little bit about your experiences. We all know real estate has ups and downs. It's a roller coaster. So kind of take us through the trough, through one of your valleys. So what has been the hardest thing you've experienced so far, and what did you learn from it? And then take us to the peak. Tell us about, what do you love about real estate? Why are you in it? What gets you up in the morning?
Oh yeah, definitely. The hardest thing about real estate is, and being in this business, you're obviously self-employed. You work for yourself. And in this business, you're not getting like a constant paycheck. So you really have to be self-motivated. You're not gonna, nobody's gonna hand anything to you. Nobody's gonna give you anything. So you really have to wake up every day and say, I'm gonna go get it. You have to go out there and and get the deals. And once you change, I think, your mindset from sitting and expecting things to come to you to, hey, I'm just gonna go out there and grab it for myself, your whole life changes. So I think that's the hardest thing for me to, when I was working a job, you just go to your job and then they just give you leads or whatever, and then they tell you what to do and you just make sales. Like, you're an employee, you're a W-2 employee, and they really dictate what you do and how much you
passive. You're just kind of like, you just sit in and you do whatever it is that they tell you to do. Yeah.
And then if you have any input whatsoever, like, no, shut up. Okay, we're paying you. So yeah, that's the hardest part. That's the hardest mentality change. And then it's not going to be easy. It's not like you just, hey, I'm just going to be an entrepreneur, I'm just going to invest in real estate, and then all of a sudden you're making big bucks. No, it's really, you're going to be broke for a while. You're going to be broke for a while. You're going to not make any money. But then once you get used to being broke and you're like, okay, I can handle this, that's when your mentality changes and you realize it's not really about the money. It's really about controlling your destiny, controlling your business, and making it grow. And then I think that's what I love about it. I love real estate because there's
self-direction.
Yeah, self-direction. I can control what I do, and there's ownership in real estate. There's real wealth in real estate. There's legacy in real estate, and there's not all of those things in anything else, right? And it's real estate is part of what has made a lot of people, actually most of the self-made millionaires in the United States are self-made through real estate.
I've heard that before. Yeah, I heard that statistic. It was something like 70% or something like that.
Yeah. And land and real estate ownership is so valuable. It's always been valuable in all cultures, since ancient times, because it's been leveraged through conquest, through trading, through the gentry. It's very special to me. I'm very, as you can see, I'm passionate about land, real estate. So yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
All right, we're making one more shift here, and I want to ask a little bit about kind of what makes you effective in real estate. So tell us, what is the one habit that contributes the most to your success in investing?
I would definitely say you have to know how to deal with people. So I got that advice from a good friend of mine. I mean, he's a little older, so he's like kind of like a uncle figure, or his name
mentor.
Is mentor. Yeah, his name is Sanford Ibrahim. Sanford Ibrahim. He's the retired CEO of Radion Group.
Radion. They make graphics cards, right?
I think Radion. So Radion was like a mortgage. It was a mortgage-based business.
Okay.
So it was a mortgage-based business, and he did really well in his life. He met like Barack Obama, government. He had connection with government, and he's retired now, and he's still running companies, like 60 in his 60s. He's just running companies because that's what he loved to do.
60 is young. 60 is the new 30.
Yeah. And and so I asked him, like, what's your advice for somebody starting out in business? He's like, you have to know how to deal with people. You literally have to know how to, and it sounds very simple, but once you really see, how people are, you figure out how valuable that is. So, especially in this industry, all the real estate is owned by people.
Yep.
So and then you're going to be negotiating with people. They have their emotion and they have their emotions invested in their life savings, which is usually real estate.
Right.
So if they're not gonna just give it to you, they're not gonna. They have their emotions invested to it. It kind of hurts their ego if you lowball them. If you lowball somebody, it's gonna hurt their ego.
That's absolutely true. I've experienced that many times. And the hard part about that is that one person's idea of a low ball is another person's idea of a fair market value, especially when you're looking at property here in high valued areas like Seattle, where houses are worth $500,000. And if you're looking at flipping that house and you have to offer them $300,000 because they have $100,000 worth of repairs in their property, and they think their house is worth 500, then they'll, unless you set that conversation up correctly, then they will easily take offense to a $300,000 offer because Zillow says 500 and they believe Zillow more than anything else. And so I think you're absolutely right. You definitely have to set conversations up and understand that you're talking with a person and make sure that they know that you're not trying to lowball them to take their money.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we're at the end of our segment here. So before we cut off here, though, tell people how can they get in contact with you, and then what is it that you're looking for if somebody wanted to bring you, say, a deal, or just what is it you're looking for in real estate?
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, well, all you guys out there listening, if you want to get in contact with me, you need help with any type of real estate transaction, lending, private lending, you can reach me on my cell phone. You can text me. It's 425-289-9002. I'm here in Bellevue, Washington. I go all over the Seattle area. Pretty much. And then what I'm basically looking for and looking to help people with, and if you're coming to me and you have any questions, is especially in these times, in times of the pandemics, interest rates are extremely low. So if you're looking to buy or invest, you have an existing property, it's a really good time to do it. Make some cash, make some money. And then you're seeing now, especially with unstable, employment times, like make an empire, make your own business. You can do that. It's possible. Like, look at us. We didn't have anything before. We didn't have a business before, but we found the techniques. We utilized these techniques. We worked hard, and we found deals that make us money. And I can do that for you guys too. So
there you go. You heard it. All right. Well, Khan, thank you very much for hopping on here. I appreciated everything you had to say, and I'm sure everybody listening and watching also appreciated it as well. If you're watching, listening, you want to get in contact with Khan, you can reach out to him on LinkedIn, or he just put his phone number here for you, so you text him there. Otherwise, we will see you guys around.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. For more information on how to work with the host, Gabe Peterson, go to www.realestateinvestingclub.com. Otherwise, we will see you guys in the next episode.
All right, before I officially sign off, I have a quick announcement to make. If you're interested in becoming a passive investor in one of my deals, my own company, Kaizen Properties, is looking for capital partners for our upcoming projects. We invest in what are known as recession-resistant assets, mainly self-storage facilities, mobile home and RV parks, and industrial properties. If you're interested in investing and would like to learn a little bit more about my company, our investing criteria, and some of the previous projects we've done, go to the Real Estate Investing Club podcast at therealestateinvestingclub.com and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page. Click on the Invest With Us button. That'll pop up the investor form. Fill that out, and we will reach back out to you as soon as we can. Or if you prefer a little bit more of a personal touch, you can reach out to me at gabe@therealestateinvestingclub.com. So really, that is it. Again, it was a pleasure hanging out with you guys during this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.